Yo, what's good, YouTube? So today, jumping right into the video, we have so this is a backing plate, which I would consider a spacer because it's spacing out your wheels. But what these are normally used for is to clear your brake calipers on aftermarket wheels. So on like a car or something, you would, or your spokes here would be hitting your caliper. You need that to clear your new wheels. Or the reason that I'm going to be using those now is because if you guys don't know anything about Chevy 1500s, I did a torsion bar lift, which jacks the front end up and it takes the A-arms and it completely moves the A-arms and it sucks them in, right? So if you look here or over here, I don't know how good you guys are going to be able to see it on camera, but we have about 2 inches more, we're like 1.5 2 inches more wide in the back than we are in the front. So what I'm gonna end up doing is putting those backing plates just to give it a little bit more evenness here on the actual wideness of the truck, I guess you could say. Unfortunately, I used to have a 2500, and 2500s, if you guys know anything about Chevys, they come with the front end is actually wider. It's wider by about 2 inches, so most people will put 2 inches in the rear to even it out, but unfortunately on a 1500 it does not work like that. So we're gonna hope that this backing plate can actually do something for us here and make our lives a little bit better. I used to run these backing plates on my 10 wides, and they did, I wouldn't say justice, but they were decent. They were decent. So we're gonna go ahead, start jacking this thing up, take the wheels off, and I'll show you guys an after and how the thing rides, probably, because I'm actually scared that this thing's gonna have a crazy wobble in it because these are not hub centric. But we're gonna try it and see how it goes, because I really don't want to deal with the front end of this being way less wide than the rear end, because it doesn't look great. All right, so this is what we're looking like. Pretty much we have hub centric spacers on here, so it fits directly onto the OEM hubs, and then it also has another set for the wheel to go on, and then our wheels have hub centric rings as well, which sit on that. So the only issue is I didn't want to put it on the spacer because I'm not sure how it would work, because if you see here, like, that's a lot of movement. It doesn't sit on the hub centric rings because I said they're not hub centrics, but you know, I ran them on my 10 wides and it was all right. So I'm probably going to try it on the 12s because I really want this extra space. Plus there's a very small lip here, but it's a lip nonetheless, for the actual hub centric ring to sit on. So we're gonna put this thing back and see how it could possibly work out. So I'm gonna get you guys with an update in a few seconds here, but I was gonna think about putting it on the back side of the spacer, but I'm not thinking that's gonna work, because the spacers are in here and they're good. I don't want to mess with them at all. They're working just fine, and spacers are sketchy. So we're gonna slap those things on just like that and call it a day probably. So I'm gonna slap this wheel on, see how it looks. All right, boys, we're looking pretty good here. So I ended up putting it on, and with that backing plate back there, it still sits on the lip of the hub centric rings, so we're good to go. It is looking absolutely perfect. Now the only problem is it going to balance properly when we drive this thing? So I'm going to slow the other side on. We're going to check out how wide it is in the front now, and we're going to go on a little test drive, see how this thing goes. All right, so before we jump into throwing the other side on and taking that test drive, I actually forgot I wanted to do a comparison. So keep in mind, we're a little bit jacked up right now, and the wheel is turned to the right, so it's not going to be as, you know what, we'll do it from this side. Now, it is most definitely a lot closer to how the back is. It's not going to be perfect. It's probably 3/4 of an inch off now, but one little look of it. We'll go right from the top. We'll go right to, we'll put the top of the camera right at that fender. So that's what we're looking like over here. And if we go over here and we look at this side, do the same thing. Put the camera right to the top of that. It's not as wide. You can see much more tread on the other side of this thing. So honestly, we're not going to be able to turn even less now, so we're going to be ripping these if you can see here, this is where I rub now. It's probably going to rub like here now, so that's sick. But you know what, you got to do what you got to do to be wide, right? So eventually I'll lift this thing, but it's not looking bad for now. But if you can see, the back is way wide, dude, like so wide compared to the front. So we're gonna slap this thing on. We are going to go on a test ride. We're probably gonna get a few cinematics of it, because why not? We always load cinematics of the trucks. A little bit of B-roll, don't hurt nobody. All right, so while this thing's jacked up, we just finished the other side, by the way. While this thing's jacked up though, I want to check my steering clearance, because you need to be able to drive. So Let's see. Oh, we're golden. Oh, that thing's going right past it. We'll get a full crank going until this thing stops, and it stops right there. So on this side, we are clear in the front. Now we gotta go check the backs. So in the back, we rub right there. So that's not where it normally rubs, but that's because we are jacked up on a jack right now. So as much as it looks like I can turn right now, that is not as much as I can normally turn when the truck is on the ground. It's looking like we're clearing pretty good. Get it closer to that front bumper. Oh, we're gonna clear. We're totally gonna clear that. That is undoubtedly going to clear. Go back to full lock again. Yeah, we're looking good in the front end. The front end is no worries. It's always the back. So I could do a NorCal to fix that, but I don't think I'm going to, because I don't really want to cut up my decently conditioned CATEYE Silverado. So let's crank this thing one turn back, because that's all we can get with these fucking wheels on here. Straighten it up, and we're gonna pull it a little over there. Get some cinematics for you guys, talk about the end of the video and what the general conclusion for this thing is, because I probably titled this thing your CATEYE or your GMT 800 needs these, which if it's a 1500 it most definitely does. So we're going to talk about that just in a second. All right, so right off the rip, just driving over here, it most definitely rubs way worse. Just even adding that 1/4 inch or that 3/8 of an inch, it just, yeah, it definitely rubs more. So anytime you jack your truck up, especially if you're going to do something like this, you're going to want to check your wheel bearings always, especially if you're running spacers, the adapter plate, and 12 wides. It's just a lot of strain on these front ends for these Chevys. So check your left and right for your tie rods, and check your up and down. So you're going to be pressing up and down like this, and then left and right. So left and right tie rods, up and down your wheel bearings. Always good to check that, but we're going to get some cinematics going right about now. Bear with me, by the way, with those cinematics, because the vlog setup that I got going on right now only zooms to 1.4. Usually I do 2.5 zoom to do my cinematics, but I'm not able to do that right now, so I'm sure they come out decent. But with that being said, the reason you want to do this is literally to, this is specific to if you're on a torsion lift. So pretty much you're just taking, if you get like a rough country leveling kit, they call it, you pretty much crank up the front suspension with no drop or any sort of A-arm adjustment. So you're pretty much just lifting the front. It swings the A-arms in, and it's going to make your front end less wide, because unlike the 2500s, they did not space out the front on the 1500s. So what this does is it's literally making the front, or we'll go over here, the front of it a little closer to the wideness of the rear, which it's great and all, but you really costing some drivability. You pretty much can't turn with this kind of setup on here. This is 12 wides negative 44 with 2-inch spacers, by the way, which I made an entire video on. So if you guys want to go check that out, just go to the channel, subscribe if you guys are new, check out any of those videos. I did a lot of new videos on this truck, so anything I do this thing, even this video, it's a stupid little video that might not get a whole bunch of views, but it's something that somebody out there is going to want to see. Also, I threw in some cinematics of my TSO tip that I just put on, which is this thing down here. So this is my most recent video. It's 2 videos actually. This is going to come out but right after the other video, but it's 2 videos recent to this one, and it's this bad Larry, which is something I painted, restored kind of, I guess you could say, and it's already messed up because the salt in Connecticut is horrible up here in the East Coast. It just destroyed my paint. That is all permanent on there now, so I'm probably going to end up changing this color. Even though it looks amazing white, it's just not doing the job. So if you guys want to check that out, go ahead, check that out. But with that being said, I mean, I did want to drive this, but it doesn't drive that much different than when I installed the 12 wide. So if you want to see how this thing drives on 12 wides and 2-inch spacers, just go check out that video. It might be linked in the end of this video, or you can just go on my channel and look at it. It's not that far down. We completely drove all over the place. I actually did a specific video on how the 12 wides and 2-inch spacers fit on these trucks. So if you guys want to check that out, just go ahead and do that. But with that being said, I'm going to catch you guys later. If you guys want to keep up on Instagram, this is going to come out weeks before on Instagram. So if you guys want to see any updates on the build, just go to Instagram, thedon.87, just like the ad is on my YouTube. Check me out there. That's the best place to follow me for any sort of updates and any sort of posts about this truck. So I have another video to film, so I'll see you guys in the next one.